Working?
It's working on yeah, we're streaming there. Let's see, it's going to be on YouTube. Okay, streaming there. Fifteen seconds. Okay, we should be streaming in more places today.
Nice.
Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Fun.
So start welcoming people. I think you'll hold on a second. Facebook's coming online. And now.
Hi everybody, welcome to today's live session for watercolor. We're going to be painting flowers again today, so I'm glad you hopped on here. We've decided to make this week Flower Week. So yesterday we did a few flowers, today we're going to do cherry blossoms. Tomorrow will be sunflowers. You know, we're just making it up as we go along. It's really fun, so welcome. Facebook, and I guess we've got Instagram now, we've got YouTube going on. So I really appreciate y'all just jumping on and sharing this with your friends. It's been fun to see that there's lots of people joining together, making some art in this time when obviously stuff is going down in the whole wide world. We're unsettled, and those things are real. That unsettledness is real. But in the midst of that, we can make some beauty. We can take an hour and focus on something. It's good for our brains, it's good for our spirits. So I'm Sarah Geesey, I'm an artist, I'm a wife, and I'm a mom. And we just decided to do these sessions, like I said, on a whim, to spread some beauty. We'll be doing some simple watercolors that you can do and feel refreshed when you're done with it. So we'll be here an hour. All you're gonna need is your watercolor paints, your watercolor paper, and your watercolor brushes, or any brush you have. I'm also going to use a little black Sharpie today and a white paint pen. If you have it, that's going to be something you can use. Okay, that's all you need. If you have all your supplies, let's get ready to go. Okay. All right. So if you have watercolors that look like mine, that's great. If you have watercolors that are liquid watercolors, that's great. If you have watercolors that look like this, like your kids' watercolors, that's great too. When we started doing this, I thought, you know, I don't usually use watercolors. I do a lot of like oil and acrylics, mostly acrylics. But not everybody has acrylic paints at home, and I thought, you know what? Most people have these guys in their kids' art stash. So let's just do watercolor. People can gather the things they already have. So if you have this is perfect. We're gonna use just a few colors. We're gonna use a couple different colors of pink. So if you have a pink in your palette, that's great. If you don't, we'll use a red and we'll add water to it. And the variation in colors of pink, we'll just use more or less water. And we'll use a dark brown or a gray color. Mine is a little bit of a grayish brown, but really truly that's about it. I did put some leaves on my cherry blossom tree because the pictures I was looking at had leaves on them. Obviously they're trees and they have leaves, but some of the Japanese art that I was looking at, they didn't put leaves on there. It was just the cherry blossoms. So, you know, you get to choose. This is your painting. So if you do want to put leaves on, you might use a green as well. Okay? So those are the colors. A couple of pinks and a brown, and then maybe some green for leaves. Okay? If you have looked in the comments below, you'll see the outline. The outline is very simple this time. It's just the tree part. We're going to use the tree part to be the base of the painting, and then we'll add the color of the flowers on just using the paint. I did start out giving an outline with the leaves and the flowers outlined, but truly the delicateness of those flowers, it just needs to have just the paint showing through, and not the outline of the pencil. So we're gonna have to use our imagination and see with our mind's eye where we want to put those flowers. That's not all bad, right? That's a good thing. All right, so if you have this outline, great. If you don't yet have it, give it a pause and go and find this outline on the comments, put it in your printer, put it up against your window. Somebody today was asking, they don't have a printer, they don't have a way to print it out. So I was suggesting maybe if you have a big enough screen, you could put your paper against the screen and trace it, you know. We're just gonna do whatever we can. If you can't copy it anyway, this is one of those that you can look at it and you can copy it freehand. It's really, there's not one right or wrong way to make a cool tree. Trees are the coolest. I paint more trees than anything else because they're full of life. They're like sculptures and they're all wild and different. So there's no right or wrong way. Okay, you have your outline. I'm assuming that now. Okay, so before we paint, let's look at the painting. Obviously, you know, it's pretty simple. It's this brown color. We're gonna start with this brown color and we're gonna fill in all these branches. It doesn't need to be solid. It needs to look kind of chunky, like it's got bark, you know. And then we'll go in and put the flowers in. You'll see that the flowers, some of these are kind of defined flowers I made. And then others are just hints of flowers. They're just a little bit of a shadowy, pink, flowy thing that looks like flowers are probably there. It's romantic, right? We've done a couple paintings with this kind of a hint of a flower or a hint of a shape. That's the cool thing about art, is you don't have to have everything super defined, right? Okay. The other thing real quick is cherry blossom trees have a lot of little buds on them. I noticed in all the pictures they had little buds. So some of the little areas on the tree that have little psh, like that, we're gonna put little buds in there. All right, that's an overview. So right away we're gonna just jump right in and we're gonna do the trunk of this tree. Okay, now once we put paint on here, it is going to be a little bit opaque. It's not going to be as transparent as some of the other colors. That is important because we want to make sure that our branches are crisscrossing each other in a more natural way than what it could be. This branch is covering over these two branches in my idea, in my drawing here. Here, I made them opposite. So really, truly, it doesn't matter which way, but you need to choose one. It wouldn't make sense for this branch to go over this one and under this one. Does that make sense? So I think I might even switch it because I like the other way. I'm going to switch it so that these branches are in front and that one's behind. It's not going to show once you get the paint on, so. But as you're going through, make sure your branches are going over correctly. Okay. I've got a grayish brown color. It's so fun to be with you today. I'm feeling it this week. Being alone. Okay, so we're going in and we're painting on a dry paper. Later, we're going to put water down first and then put color. But for this activity, for these branches, we want the paint to stay within the line, so we'll just put it directly on dry paper. All right. And these branches are squiggly and wiggly. They are not straight and defined. So just let the outline of the branches be, wiggly. My husband's always pointing out craggly trees, he calls them. He likes those trees that have the branches that are all wiggly and old looking, you know. All right. Coming down. This is going to be an activity that you know you don't need a lot of instruction, so I'm not going to talk your ear off about it. Just filling in these branches. We have a fan going in here and it's blowing all my stuff around. Sorry, it's distracting me. All right, so filling in all these branches. That first layer is probably not going to be very dark. We'll have to go in again with a second layer. I'm using a number 4 brush. You could use a smaller one if you want more precision, but this one seems to work just fine. All of the watercolor brushes have fine points, so you can get into the little nooks and crannies. All right, so you'll notice on these two little guys here, they have that cross little V. That's where we'll put buds. So you'll notice all around here, there's little V's. That's where we're gonna put buds, okay? Now, if you have control over it, if you're feeling like you have a little bit of an extra, you have control, think about where the sun would be shining on a tree, right? It'd be coming from the top down. So a shadow, if you have control and you're able to put some darkness below these branches, think about where the light would be hitting and where the shadow would be. The undersides would be darker. So if you're able to do that, go in and put shadows down. That'll give the illusion of roundness of these branches. Oh goodness, look at this. I think I didn't finish a branch in the in the outline phase. You see this one, how it stops here? I would say go on beyond that one and do a little forked branch like that to finish it out. That's how I have it on my original painting. I missed it when I was tracing. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is crossing over, so I'm going to make it a little bit darker just to show that it's in front. I really enjoyed speaking with several of you. Just this last week has been a lot of new faces. A lot of people jumping on with their friends, making watch parties. That's just so fun. I love knowing that we're not alone. We're all doing this together. We're made to be, relational people, and here we are, not able to relate in our normal ways anyway, right? We will find a way. Thankful for technology. So this suggestion for a cherry blossom came from a good old friend of mine. She's not old. Our friendship is old, just to clarify. Her name is Sandy Sugunuma, and she is Japanese. She's from Hawaii, and she has been painting for the first time. And it's just cool to hear her process. She's really made the most of these sessions, and I love hearing her thought process. She's not just painting. She's letting this be a spiritual practice, which I love. Listening to the spirit and asking what's next. That's the ultimate in creativity. What should I do next? What's the next step? Anyway, so she's been painting along, and she was excited to make a cherry blossom tree. It's the time now too, right? They're all over Washington, D.C., and my in-laws, my mother-in-law and father-in-law are in Japan right now. They've been living there the last couple years, being missionaries, and I'm sure they see these beautiful trees as well. So, like I said, just filling these in. Let yourself be calm and relaxed as you're doing it. There's no rush. There's no need to be worried about it. If I'm going faster than you, that's okay. If I'm going slower than you, just go get a cup of coffee. But if I'm going faster than you, it's okay. You just pause it and finish up. When you're ready, you come back. I think the kind of messier you can be within, limits. It's kind of cool, the look that it gives when it's kind of bumpy. Tomorrow night we'll be doing our book study on the artist's way. We're doing that through Patreon, which is kind of like a subscription-based website where I offer a bunch of things and you can subscribe. And one of those things is a book study on The Artist's Way. It's a book by Julia Cameron. And we've only done one session so far. It was just the introduction. And we'll be discussing the first chapter. We'll have read that this week. But, if you don't have it, I just think it is one of the most influential books in my life. I've read it like 4 times. This is my 4th time. And I'm just excited to share it with people. But I think you would glean from just listening in on the conversation if you're interested. We also have on the subscription a monthly larger painting on acrylics on canvas, and that will be coming up in the next week or 2 here. I think the 17th so that's about 10 days. So that would be a Zoom call, and that way we can all converse and get to know each other. It's been fun. We get to know everybody, and ask questions along the way and spend a couple hours painting with girlfriends or, people around the country. Because I usually do painting parties at people's houses, But now we can't do that. Right now. Not right now. I heard Alicia Keys, she's one of my favorites. She did a spoof on her song, My Home, and it was like, you can't come to my home. So great. Nope, can't come to my home. Not right now. Anyway, since I can't do those painting parties in people's homes right now, we decided, well, we'll do these painting parties on Zoom, and people can join in. So it's another way to do it. Okay, keeping on. It's interesting how different paintings take a different levels of instruction, Like yesterday, I didn't do instruction the whole way through. This time, it's kind of self-explanatory in that you're making it up as you go. Okay. My painting is wet here and dry here, so I'm going to turn my painting over so that I can paint this part without getting my hands all wet and dirty. When I started painting when I was in college, it was just one of those things that I just took to, and I loved it. I have always been kind of a creative type person, like crafts. We did a lot of crafts growing up. When I started taking art classes at Bethel College in Minneapolis, and I just loved it. I would just stay up for hours late at night just painting and focusing. And I loved it. And then as I went off and I was in a music group and traveled around and met my husband in that band, and it's not really a band, it was more of a missions kind of a group. And then I didn't have any paint, didn't have paint on the bus. And then I came home again after traveling around, and I started having babies. And as I was having babies, it was the dream of my life to have a family and make a home. I really do love, that's what has given me the most joy in my life. But it also made me a little bit lonely, a little bit feeling like, I was alone in my house with no other adults while my husband was at work. And a little crazy making. So I started painting again. My kids are 18, my oldest is 18 now, so it's been a while. But that first 10 years or so, I painted because I needed to, because I felt like it was like a meditation. It was like a calming thing to me. It was a way for me to focus on one thing, and it was my thing. It was putting beauty in the world. It had nothing to do with serving anybody else, or, even though art does serve people, but yeah, it was about putting beauty in the world, really focusing on that. So yeah, the first 10 years of my painting journey, my art journey, was really just for myself, alone in my room, kind of like what you're doing, home alone. In the privacy of your own home, you get to explore, you get to become and be, I think so much of life is doing and achieving, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is how the world goes around. But if our doing is coming out of a place of unrest, the fruit of that's going to be a lot of stress, and probably not the soul, the thing that you're made for. But if you spend time just being, getting to know yourself, hearing the Spirit, then your doing comes out of that, right? A restful place and a peaceful place. So, even though this is not necessarily the most practical thing, it is a spiritual practice, and it is valuable. Settle your heart, bring your mind into a settled place, a focused place, where it's listening. Every little decision is a listening. Which way will I put my brush this time? Lots of little decisions. Okay, I finished mine. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there's some spots where it's darker and some spots where it's lighter. I'm really okay with that. I really kind of like that. The way that a tree would look is not straight, and nature in general doesn't usually parallel with each other. So we're okay with gnarly a little bit. Little gnarly bark is good, right? Let's leave it. Let's move along, okay? This is gonna dry pretty quickly because we didn't put a lot of water on it. There were some spots here that I didn't have my glasses on, and I didn't see how rough and crazy they are. You probably can't see them from there. I noticed yesterday I was being nitpicky about things that you couldn't even see on the camera. Oh, I gotta get over myself a little bit here. Okay, we have our tree. We have our bark. We have our branches. Okay, now let's look at the painting again. Up in here, I kind of focused on, think about it as though you're looking through a camera lens and you're focusing on a certain area, right? So this area right here, I kind of focused in so you can see. Oh, can you see? Oh, see right here? I focused in, so there are some details here, okay? Then it kind of gets blurry out here, kind of like if you had, you know, the focus is becoming less focused, okay? This down here is the closest one to us, so it's a little bit defined as well. But otherwise, a lot of this over here is very nebulous. Okay, so we're gonna go in, we'll put this first flower so we get the hang of it. Okay, that's nice and close right there. Maybe we'll do another one here and these buds. But then I'm gonna let you go to your heart's content, wild and crazy up here, okay? You can put them in, especially in the spots where I did leave some breaks in the branches, so that we can show that some of them are in front and some are behind the branches. So fill in those blanks with those flowers as well as just anywhere else you see them. And then after we fill in some of these more defined flowers, we'll add the more nebulous, okay? So coming in right here, I'm gonna use two different colors of pink. I'm gonna have a dark pink and a light pink. I might even go in with some red after a little while. Some of the paintings and some of the pictures I saw, some of the cherry blossoms were totally white. Maybe that's later in the season or a different kind. Then some of them are more like red. So this one I just chose pink. Okay, so we're gonna go right in here. We have these two on the sides here that have kind of areas for buds, and then we'll put the flower here. Okay, we'll start with the flower. I'm gonna go in with my pink, my lighter pink. And each of these leaves, each of these flowers has 5 petals, okay? So we're gonna go in and make 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let it be watery, let it be nice and loose, okay? We don't want to have them be very, very defined because they're so delicate, okay? I know that doesn't look like much, but let it be for now, okay? In here, we're going to put a little bud, just a circle bud. Yep. Okay, easy as that. Go up here and make these flowers. So let's put it right here. So this branch is going up and this guy is coming off. We'll put a flower right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easy. Okay. Let the water flow around. Well, that one's brighter than this one. It's okay. All right. Put some buds in there. Some bud in there. And they have a lot of buds. So if you're enjoying making buds, just go for it. They had buds everywhere.
Wait, who is the bud for?
For you.
Is it for you? For me?
Yeah, you can have it.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh. You got all excited once I said bud. All right. Now, next to this one here, I did make like a hint of like half of a flower off to the side here, if you see that. I'm going to add that in, okay? I'm just going to do three petals coming off the side, not touching, just kind of a hint of that. You see that? Coming off the side. Maybe one over here as well. Just a hint of a flower next to the one that we made. All right. We're going to just keep going. We're going to make flowers all over this tree, all over the buds, all over, now I've got the word bud in my head, all over the branches, okay? So, flowers everywhere. 5 petals, okay? Maybe one goes off to the side so it doesn't show all 5. Like that. There's a little bud. Let it be just watery, really light.
Slide the paper down, can't see.
Okay. And all of the branches don't have to have flowers on them, like especially down below. I didn't put them on all of the branches. Just be random about it. There's a flower here. Let them be nice and light. Filling in the holes. And then also not on the branches, right? So we want to fill in space. That's a really bright one. If they touch each other, that's great. If they only show a few of them, a few of the petals, that's good. Okay. Just go with your gut. If you want to, you can look at my example. But really, trust yourself. It's a thing we need to learn, is to trust ourselves again. Because everybody is born creative. All kids are creative. And then we somehow learn that to think for ourselves is dangerous. Obviously, there's reasons for that, you know. As you grow up, you don't know everything, right? But I think there's something about how we learn to ignore our own voice, you know, what Spirit is talking to us about. So this is just a little exercise in trusting your own gut. Light and airy, it wins the game on this painting. Okay. And as you start getting them closer together, it might not be as defined as you once saw in your mind. That's okay. We'll go in and add some details with like the pistils, and the middle of the flower will be a little bit darker. So you'll have time to make that more defined. Just randomly going about this. Hope you can see that how random it is. It might be frustrating to some. Okay. I did a few iterations of this painting, thinking through how can I instruct you on something that seems so random. And I kind of landed on, oh well, I guess I'll just teach you that this is random. There's beauty in that. Okay. 5 petals all over the place. And buds, buds, buds everywhere. Just put little circles on the branches, wherever you find a little place that they could go, but as well as, you know, you can just put them along the branch. They really just grow right out of the branch, those little buds. Okay. Okay, so that is going to do it for my defined flowers, even though they're pretty undefined. Okay. The next step we're going to do is to add a darker pink in the middle of those flowers. So we don't want to have them be, in the pictures they were the little petals, and then the red or kind of fuchsia was coming up out of them. There were also some that were purpley, coming up from the middle out, seeping out from the middle. So we don't want it to be like a circle. We want it to kind of spread from the middle, okay? So I'm going to take a small brush. This is a number, oh, this is the smallest of my 0 paintbrush. I'm going to go in and use a fuchsia color, like a hot pink. I'm going to really water it down. Can you see that? So it's very watery. I'm going to go in the middle of my painted flowers and just add a little bit of a dark middle, coming from the middle and coming out. So brush strokes coming from the middle, coming out, like a little starburst. Okay? Nothing super defined, just a little bit of a darker color, giving that middle part some love. Now, if you look online and look at pictures, you can feel free to do it the way you would want to do it, okay? There's lots of different pictures of, of beautiful cherry blossoms. I'm putting a little dot of the darker in the buds as well. I don't know. I didn't do that earlier, but I'm doing it this time. Okay, not a lot of detail, just adding some color in there. It's always best to have more than one color just because that's usually how nature works. Let it seep. You don't want it to look like a starfish. Let them seep out into each other, those colors, okay? Okay. Okay. All right, good enough for me. If you're still going, give it a pause and start back up, okay? So now we have kind of the middles defined a little bit, all right? While those are drying, we're gonna take a bigger brush and we're gonna use it to make these more undefined splotches that will hint of flowers, right? So I'm going to take my bigger brush. This is a number 4, but you use whichever brush you've got. And we're going to go in with a lot of water on our brush and just go in and put some dots with a lot of water, kind of hinting where the flowers might go. Now I'm going to have my flowers come down this way, maybe a little down in here, maybe over here. I went all the way down here in my other one, and I kind of wished I had stopped so it was kind of lopsided, because I don't want it to, I always get a little bit perturbed when things get too perpendicular or parallel, whichever. Okay, so we're just doing the light pink coming down, almost all water, just letting it flow down like those are flowers, okay? And we'll kind of fill in some of this area over here. Any areas in the more defined flowers that kind of needs some coverage, just put some dots of pink in there. It's okay if things meld around and get fuzzy. It's kind of the romance of this piece is a little bit of fuzziness, a little bit of undefined beauty. A lot of water. Now if your paper is starting to get too wet, you can always blot it with a paper towel and start over, or put more on as you feel like the need, you know? It comes up mostly. If it gets too dark like that, if there's little spots that you feel like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, go in with your brush, with a dry brush, and kind of wick the paint back up into your brush. That works. Okay. And put coming down a little bit here. Maybe down in here, but I'm not going to come way down. I just don't feel like that was exactly what I wanted. Okay. So you can use different colors of pink here. You can mix a lighter pink and a more fuchsia pink, kind of how I've done it. I used the middle color and watered it down quite a bit and put some of that color in with the watery feathered colored. Okay, we'll let that dry and see what it looks like, because watercolor always looks darker when it's wet and then it gets lighter as it dries. So we don't want to make any judgments until it's dry, because a lot of times it'll dry to the point, it'll lighten to the point where you can hardly see it anymore, and that's not the goal. We don't want to have it go totally away. So we might need to add a little bit. But at this point, well, there's nothing much to do other than wait for it to dry. So I'm wondering if you guys wouldn't mind giving me a little comment. I know not everybody's on live right now. Probably quite a few people are not. But I don't mind if you comment later. I would really like for you to comment later. But I'm wondering about, for the monthly paintings that we're doing, the bigger paintings with acrylic paint on canvas, I'm wondering if you would be interested in doing those paintings, if you would be more interested in doing them if there was a kit that could be sent to you. I know that right now we're having a hard time getting all of the supplies that are necessary for even watercoloring. So I know that was a deterrent last month, that some people were feeling like they would like to paint, but they didn't have all the supplies. I'm looking to doing a kit and being able to send it to you. If you're interested in that, would you comment below, or I guess DM the art page and let me know if you're interested in that. I'm going to be posting a picture of the painting we're going to be doing next month, or in 2 weeks this month. So if you're interested in doing that, please let me know. And if not, don't need to post. But I thought I would ask. So a lot of people have different art supplies and different abilities to get out and go to the store. You know, a lot of us are sheltering in place. So Amazon does have supplies, and I have put a list of things that you need there on a gift list. But it would probably be easier if we could do, kits. So I'm thinking about that. All right, mine is still quite wet. Let's do the leaves really quickly. If you're interested in doing leaves, not everybody will be. Do what you want, okay? Some of the Japanese art, like I said, did not have leaves, which, it looks more authentic that way. But then some of the pictures of the cherry blossoms, the photographs had leaves. So I did add a few just to have a little variety of color. So I'm using my number 4 brush again, and I'm gonna go in and make simple little leaves, just randomly wherever I'm feeling like a little leaf could go, okay? So a leaf is just two brush strokes. Let's see, right here. This and like this. That's a leaf right there, right? If you have a watercolor brush, really pushing down and then lifting really works, because we have the tip. But if not, just work on getting that shape. You can fill it in or not, but that's the leaf shape we're working on. Just 2 little half circles or half rainbows, I guess. So little leaves. I placed them kind of randomly around, just where I felt like there was a little spot that could use something. Okay. Don't feel like you need to follow me on this. Just look around on your painting and see where is the spot that could use a little something. Maybe there's an open place that doesn't have a lot going on. It's always nice to put a little leaf in there. Maybe put one right here since there's a little branch poking out. Ooh, that's a wet spot. If you're trying to paint over wet paint or wet paper, that water will just take the paint and run with it. Might have to go in and fix that one. A little here and there. My fan is blowing everything around. Oh, it's okay. Feels good. Just have to hold on to myself. Okay. Just let you do random things. All right. Okay. These flowers are pretty dry over here. I still do have some wet places where I put the ethereal flowers because I use a lot of water. But these flowers are pretty dry. So I'm going to go in with my white paint pen. If you have a white paint pen, now is the time to use it. I'm going to use this to define some of the petals since they are very loosely drawn. I'm just going to go in and draw one side of the petal. See how that is? I just outlined one side of each petal, kind of like a pinwheel, just to give it a little bit of definition, but not outlined. Does that make sense? See how that is? That just gives us a little bit of a defined edge. This is not necessary. If you don't have a white paint pen, it's very okay. I love the look of this very loosely created or depicted flower petal. The cherry blossoms are so dense that they really look like one thing, you know? We're not really, from afar they look like one thing. When you look up close, they're just as delicate and intricate as can be, but this painting kind of is monopolizing on the idea that they do look kind of like a one thing. I have a lot of cool water shapes happening in these. I love it. I like when watercolor, the kind of some of the beauty of watercolor is it just kind of does its own thing, and if you let it, it just makes some pretty shapes, and I love that. Okay, so I've just gone in and put a little bit of defining. Again, this paint pen goes on watercolor and kind of adapts to the color that it's under, and it seeps in. So the white is not stark white, it's kind of a pinky white now, which I love. Okay, Now I'm going to use my black paint, my black Sharpie, just a Sharpie. And I'm going to go in the middle of each of these little flowers, the defined ones, and I'm going to put little tiny stamen in there, little tiny, just dots for detail. They have sticky uppy kind of stamen with a little black dot on top. I did start, I'll show you this, one of the iterations of this painting looked like this. It had the sticky uppy, because really if you look at the pictures they look like that, but as I was drawing them it looked kind of cartoony, and I chose to not do that, but you can if you would like to. Just little lines with dots on top all around the middle. I've decided I just wanted to do just dots so it doesn't look like a cartoon, but you know, to each his own. That's what art's all about, right? Make it your own. You can steal from other artists and make it your own. All artists stealing. Remember that quote? I think I talked about it at one point. But we're all in this culture. We're all seeing things that are influencing us, and we're taking those things, the beauty of our culture, and we're adapting them and making them our own. And no matter what, from one painting to the next, from one night to the next, my paintings look different. Of course, your painting is going to look different from my painting. Of course, as it should be. Adding those little dots all in there. These little dots are like the mascara of the painting. Just add in the little detail at the end. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. We had a little crash. Okay. We've got the details, we've got the little pretty little stamen coming up out of the leaves, and that's that. If you would like to add more details, you can. If you want to put more stamen in there, you want to put grass, you could do all kinds of things. This is where I'm going to finish. It's always hard to know when you're going to finish, when you're done with a painting, right? You could go in with more red, like I did here. I used a red in the middle because a lot of the flowers had a real dark red color in the middle. Yeah, you play with it. You give yourself some time to just explore what you're making. Think with your mind's eye and ask yourself, what could I do to make this look what I think looks right, okay? That way, you're exercising your creativity and putting something beautiful in the world. So tomorrow we're going to do sunflower. Somebody was asking for sunflower, so this is the painting for tomorrow. Cute, huh? And we have some other ones. We have tulips one day and another one that's like I don't know, an artichoke. It's really cool. That's my favorite one. It's really pokey looking. So I'll look it up and see what actually I was painting. I just saw pictures of beautiful flowers, so I started painting them. Anyway, that's what the week looks like. We're going to be doing flowers for the rest of the week till Friday. We'll take the weekend off, but I really am thankful that you've been with me. I really like the idea that we are not alone, that we are creating together. It's what we're made for, so it feels good to us. We are made for this. It's just a funny little painting. So it's simple, but it's something that we focused on, we made together, and we put beauty in the world, and those are the things that really matter. So grace and peace and wholeness to each one of you and your households, and we'll see you tomorrow.